are. Here we go through 10 Mile Canyon again. 10 miles of cliffs no more than 50 feet apart. Oh, there's nothing to feel squeamish about. Besides, it's the only way to get to Smoke Falls. Don't you spook on me.
Shooting at?
Vint! Vint Bunner!
Well, I'll be.
Art! Put that cannon away! Art, who you gunning for?
I'm sorry, Vin. It was the sheriff.
Sheriff? Looks like I nicked you. Let me take a look at it.
All right, now, but hurry it up, because that sheriff's going to be coming here with a posse from Smoke Falls.
Hold still.
I'm in real deep trouble, Vin.
Well, it won't help none to panic.
Can't run no more. Horse is going lame. They're out of grub.
Yeah, your arm's gonna be all right. Just took away a little meat.
Thank you.
Now, what's all this about? You in a shooting scrape?
I wish that's all it was. Clyde's dead.
Clyde?
Shot in the back.
Who shot him?
Sheriff Vale says I did it.
You kill your own brother?
Half-brother, Vint. Not that it makes much difference. The sheriff's after me just the same.
Vale, he must be new since I was around.
Well, you don't know what it was like yesterday. He took me down there to the jail. There's a gang of them hanging around listening to George Willis tell how I was a rat, and the sooner they find a rope, the better.
George Willis? I always figured him for decent enough sort.
Me too. Until we both started seeing Nadine Gray. For a while there, it seemed like she liked me better than she liked George. Did you hear that?
You're imagining things. Now, let's take this from the start. Why does the sheriff want to arrest you?
He's got to arrest somebody. George claims he saw me do it. If only I could wait till they cool down some. Vint, if you was to ride down there and meet that posse, make them see my side of it. Well, they'll respect you, Vint. They'd have to hear you out.
I've only heard your side of it.
I wouldn't lie to you, Vint. Look, I'll meet you 4 miles down the canyon at Squirrel Rock. Noon tomorrow. And I'll give myself up no matter what. All I'm asking for is a fair trial.
All right. Squirrel Rock, noon tomorrow. I'll see what I can do about that posse.
Well, I'll be dogged.
Howdy, Sam.
You know this man, Sam?
Do I know him? Why, this here's Vint Bonner. We worked side by side at the Bar Triangle 3-4 years ago. What you doing down this way?
Came down to look at some of that cattle your boss wants to sell.
Did you see anybody when you came through the canyon?
Only Art Hemper.
Doggone and Vint, that's the one we're looking for.
Yes, I know. You want him for murder.
You knew that and you let him ride on. What kind of a citizen are you, Bonner?
You could have brought him in to save the sheriff the trouble, you know.
I've known this youngster a long time, Sheriff. He says he didn't kill his brother.
He says he didn't, and I got enough against him to hang him twice over. Do you think I'm out after him for the fun of it?
All he wants is a trial. That's not too much for any man to ask.
He'll get a trial, all right.
He was hoping it'd be a fair one. So long, Sam.
Vint Bonner.
Howdy, George.
Pay the old town a visit, huh? And he sure picked a time for it. Right in the middle of the most excitement we've had in months.
As I know. I ran into the sheriff and his boys a ways back.
Oh, then you know about Art Hamper, huh? Yeah, too bad to see an old friend go to pieces the way Art has.
Most of us would if we were up against a murder charge.
No, that's not what I mean. Truth is, Art's been on the downgrade for the last couple of years.
That is too bad. I always kind of liked the kid.
Well, if you'd lived here and seen it happen day by day, you'd understand. Ever since his pa died, he's been getting worse. Drinking too much, keeping whatever troubled him locked up inside. And all of a sudden he blows up. Too bad Clyde had to get the full force of it.
Are you saying definitely that he shot Clyde?
I sure am. You remember Nadine? Well, she's Mrs. Willis now. Well, I met her riding into town early yesterday morning. You know how women are. She was on her way to buy another new dress.
I thought it'd be all right to ride into town. I hear they've got some new dress material at the general store.
Not another dress, Nadine.
I just thought I'd look, George.
Honey, you do more than look. Buy the best they got. You're the wife of an up-and-coming rancher now. I'll meet you at your sister's place after I finish my business at the bank. You see that? You see what Art Hamper's just done? We better get out of here before we get killed, too. Hey, come on, hey.
So you got to town and reported to Vale.
I sure did. I left Nadine with her sister and joined the posse. It's a sad thing, Bet. I'm sorry it had to happen.
I think I know just how you feel, George. I'd heard Art's side of the killing, and now I'd listen to George's. I made a stop at Nadine's sister's place, but Nadine was out. I left word I'd be back, and that's when I got the idea of talking to Tom Yancey. Hello, Mr. Yancey.
Vint Bonner, come right on in. Come right in. The gate's open.
How have you been?
Fine, fine. And what brings you into Smoke Falls, Vint?
Well, I came in to look at some Bar Triangle cattle.
Fine. We'll be glad to handle any deal for you.
That's not what I want to talk about right now, though. Came to talk about Art Hamper.
What about him?
He says he didn't kill Clyde.
I never did associate him with the regular killing kind.
Yeah, looks like we're in the minority, Judge.
You know old man Hemper married again after Art's mother died. That's how Clyde came into the family. You know, it seems that old man Hemper was doomed to have bad luck with his wives. This new one died on him about 2 years ago.
What I had in mind were motives. It sure would help Art a lot if there were no reason for him to kill Clyde.
I'm afraid Art had every reason to kill Clyde.
How's that?
Well, the old man left the whole thing to Clyde. Lock, stock, and barrel. Art was out in the cold without a nickel to his name.
You sure?
Well, I was there when they read the will. I took Art aside and told him I felt the whole thing was grossly unfair. Do you know what his answer was?
What?
He said his father owned the property, and he had a right to dispose of it any way he saw fit. I found out afterwards he stayed in town and got drunk.
How was Clyde about this?
Pleased. And to give him credit, embarrassed.
Not embarrassed enough to do anything about it, though.
Oh, he gave Art a lot of talk about how a piece of paper didn't change things between brothers. It was Art's home, and everything would be the same as it was before.
Well, much obliged, Mr. Yancey. It might help Art if you'd remember all this so you could tell it in court.
Why, Mr. Bonner.
I hope I'm not intruding, Mrs. Willis.
Well, I know it's a pleasure to see you again in Smoke Falls. I don't suppose you remember, but most of the girls here had a crush on you.
It just shows you what a fellow can miss.
Won't you sit down?
Thank you. I suppose you're wondering why I'm here.
You want to talk about Art Hemper?
Yes. George told me you witnessed the shooting.
I did. But since I'm married to George, he speaks for both of us.
Well, I have no reason to pry. I just thought I might be able to help Art.
I guess just about everybody in town is against him.
It wouldn't do any harm for you to talk. You'll have to say something at the trial anyway.
All right. But first, you ought to know that Art and I went together for a while.
He told me that.
Oh. We were very fond of each other. We even figured on getting married. And then all of a sudden, everything just came to an end.
You don't have to talk about that unless you want to.
I started keeping steady company with George.
Didn't Art turn up again?
No. I'd hear about him occasionally from friends. George never liked that, though, whenever Art's name was mentioned.
What are you doing here?
I'm on my way to town.
You have to go by Art's place to get there?
Sure. It's the shorter way. You know that as well as I do.
Maybe you think I don't know what's going on in your mind. Anybody even mentions Art's name and your eyes light up like somebody built a fire behind him.
That's a rotten thing to say just because he's an old friend.
Seems to me he was a little more than an old friend. You're in love with him, weren't you?
All right. I was in love with him. But I married you, didn't I?
Then it's high time you stopped mooning over him. Seems to me like a husband's got a right to expect loyalty from his wife.
And just what do you think you had?
No, listen, Nadine, I don't want to quarrel with you. All I want's the truth.
That's what I've been telling you, the truth. I'm on my way to town. I hear they've got some new dress material at the general store.
Not another dress, Nadine.
I just thought I'd look, George.
Honey, you do more than look. Buy the best they got. You're the wife of an up-and-coming rancher now. I'll meet you at your sister's place after I finish my business at the bank. You see that? You see what Art Hemper's just done? We better get out of here before we get killed, too. Hey, hey!
I reckon you know the rest of it. George asked me to wait here and then went to join the posse.
Then you actually didn't see Art shoot Clyde.
No. I told you all I saw.
And as far as you know, it could have been someone hiding somewhere around the barn.
If anything, it looked to me like he was trying to help him.
One more thing. Was there any talk of a lynching?
My husband was one of those most in favor of it.
I see. I'll be moving along.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes, ma'am?
I don't want you to get any wrong ideas. I'm a respectable woman. And I'm loyal to the man I married.
Yes, ma'am. In a day's time, I'd learned a lot about Art Hemper and a few other people. But I was as far from the truth as ever. Then it came to me that the answer was probably with Art himself. If he kept that appointment at Squirrel Rock, it would be a pretty good sign he was innocent.
You're right on time, Vint.
So are you, Art. I don't mind telling you I'm glad of it.
And get them hands up high. Get them up.
You know something? You just answered a question that's been bothering me a lot.
Don't you try nothing, Vint. Sheriff's gang's just up the canyon looking for me any time now. They're apt to find my back trail and follow it here.
Sheriff Vale's no fool. He's got guards at both ends of the canyon.
That won't stop us.
Us?
We're riding out of here together. I'm gonna be your prisoner. You take that gun, you keep it on me. Now make it look good. Because mine's gonna be right here under my coat. Aimed at your belly.
You'd be smart if you gave yourself up. If you killed Clyde, there's what the court calls extenuating circumstances.
They'd still hang me, and you know it. Okay, let's get going. Soon we'll be out of this canyon. I'll be a free man for the first time in my life.
You're wrong, Art. Clyde's gonna be between you and any freedom.
You think I'll give him a second thought? I hated him.
Could be you hated the wrong man. He didn't take the ranch from you. He only took what was given to him. Your own father did that.
Paul was all right. Till Clyde and his mom moved in. That's when the trouble started.
What trouble?
The two of them ganged up on me. The very first day. Everything I did was wrong. They poisoned Pa, so he was against me.
Maybe you didn't give them a chance.
I did. Figured we was even up. He had a ma. I had a pa. Guess the real trouble came when she died. I didn't care much. She never had a kind word from me, never once. Well, I didn't understand. Seems from that day on he cared more for Clyde than he did for me. I never knew how much more until he died and Clyde inherited everything. I had nothing. Clyde never gave me nothing. That's how this whole thing started. I needed some money. I went to Clyde and asked him for it. Remember that day I was in the fields working on the fences? Clyde was out in the barn currying the horses. Clyde, I've been figuring of going into town. How about let me have some money?
Thought I told you to fix those fences between the pasture and the alfalfa.
I did yesterday.
And you done a mighty poor job. I was out there not an hour ago, and they're all busted down again.
Must be a new break then.
New break, nothing.
All right, I'll fix them tomorrow. Look, all I'm asking for is $5.
By tomorrow, them cows will have all the alfalfa torn up. You're gonna ride out there now. And you better do a decent job this time.
I done a decent job. Now you think you can do any better? Go ahead. Ain't no law says you can't fix fences same as me.
Who you think you are you can talk like that? I give you free grub, a roof over your head?
And I try to do my part. All right, I'll fix them fences now.
You bet you'll fix them.
Now, how about the money?
I'll see about it.
Look, Clyde, a man can't go on and on like this without a cent in his jeans. Now, can't you give me the money now?
If you want money, you gotta work for it. I wouldn't mind paying a little extra to a good hand.
I am a good hand, and you know it. Anybody else will give me $30 a month on top of living.
Ain't a week goes by, but I don't turn away better hands than you. All of them willing to work for keep. Art, if you don't like it around here, you can shove off any time.
You're real anxious to get rid of me, ain't you? You're soft so Pa till you got what belonged to me.
Don't think Pa didn't have you sized up. He knew who deserved the place and who didn't. Now you get along and fix them fences, you hear?
All right, Clyde. I guess I ain't got no choice.
Get!
Sure. But tonight you're gonna be asleep, and I ain't gonna be able to ask you, and I wanna go to town. Look, Clyde, I'm begging you. Give me the $5. Please?
I told you. I ain't paying for no drunken sprees. Now get!
You ain't gonna treat me this way no more.
I'll treat you any way I like. And you want to know why? Because you ain't no earthly good. Why do you suppose Nadine married George instead of you?
Don't you bring her name into this.
She was just playing at love with you. When it come to settling down, she picked herself a man. Now you get to work or I'll run you clean off the place.
Maybe you can see what Clyde done to me.
Not enough to kill him.
Not enough. Stole my pa. Made me lose Nadine. They ain't no use trying to make you see. Vin, don't you understand? How could I ask Nadine to marry me when I had nothing and Clyde had it all? Oh. There's George Willis. He's even worse than Clyde was. Never missed a chance to poke fun at me in town. Make a fool out of me in front of Nadine. He already had her. What more do he want? And I got my gun on you. All right. Let's go.
I see you got him, Bent. Where's the sheriff?
He'll be along in a little while.
Then I'll take over for him.
They all said Bonus to take me in.
We'll take good care of you, Art. Did you ever see a man hung, kicking and fighting for breath?
George.
His face turning purple?
I'll take care of him. You go get a doctor.
Ben?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's all right, kid.
Ben. When it happens, that rope, I'm scared. You be there.
I'll be there. Well, he was lucky in one way. He didn't have to face the rope. Who would you say was to blame? Old man Hemper? Clyde? His mother? George? Nadine? Who knows how many others? They all had a hand in making Art what he was. A man just doesn't turn into a killer all by himself. I'd seen trail towns taken over before. This one was being taken over by Texans. Texans in a Kansas town full of Northerners. And they were letting out all the bitterness stored up since Lee surrendered at Appomattox.
I was in Prairie City to pay respects to the daughter of an old friend, Mark Wilmer. There'd always been a room at his hotel for me, whether I had money in my jeans or not, and he talked my kind of language. I'd heard Mark Wilmer had died. I was curious about his daughter, Sophie, who never had much use for this ragged, sad-looking cow town.
This part of town is no place for decent people.
Decent people? Don't you mean cowards, Mr. Vesper?
Sophie. Sophie. Say, what happened to law and order in your town?
Our respectable citizens won't show their faces this side of the railroad tracks. And suddenly, Sheriff Wiley found business elsewhere.
Mr. Bonner, maybe you could persuade Miss Sophie to
Mr.
leave.
Vespers, why don't you go inside? I'm sure you'll feel safer in there.
But,
I was sorry to hear about your father, Sophie.
He thought a lot of you. I'm glad you came by. I might never have seen you again.
I see by the sign you're planning to leave town.
Can you blame me? My father helped settle this town. He planted all of his dreams in its future. You can see what's happened to it. So I'm leaving it to the scorpions and centipedes to take over after outfits like Colonel Bromley's are through with it.
That Colonel Bromley? Well, there was nothing wrong with your father's dream, Sophie. Towns like this that can stay through times like this have a big future.
You sound like my father.
I take that as a compliment.
Oh, Vint, do you realize that except for 2 years in St. Louis, I've never set foot out of Prairie City? I saw what it did to my mother. The wind and dust and the whole ugliness of it. I don't want to dry up like a piece of leather. I want softness and gentleness in my life.
What kind of a monkey you reckon we've got here, Colonel?
Why don't you go find out, Zach?
Yeah, I think I'll do that. Just what are you supposed to be, mister?
Count Peter von Gilscher, Duchy of Hesse-Darmstadt. At your service.
Well, that's sure a mouthful of something. So you're a count, huh? I suppose that makes us all a lot of no-counts, that it?
Not at all, gentlemen. Not at all.
You've obviously seen military service, friend.
It was the only decent coat I had left. My other was in rags. When a man sets out on his last adventure, he owes it to himself to be neat about it.
Last adventure?
The one we all have to face sooner or later. The proudest of us.
Would I be wrong in saying that you sold your services as a soldier during the last conflict? The North, as well as the Confederacy, bought the services of European trash like you. Which side paid you off?
Vince, suppose he...
Yeah. It'd be pretty hard to decide what to do about it.
Well?
Shucks, ain't no question about which side he did his fighting for. That's why he ain't saying.
Let the man talk here.
I did not fight for money, gentlemen. I tried to be of some use to a cause and a man.
I presume that you're not referring to the Confederacy and Jefferson Davis.
I am referring to Mr. Lincoln, who spoke of the birthright of freedom and the abomination of slavery. I am an incurable romantic. I can't help myself.
The North had no cause. They fabricated one to justify invasion. And the man you talk about was a tyrant and a fool.
Dirty, meddling foreigner. That's the ticket way, go drag him. Give him a taste of Yankee dirt.
You gonna let this happen?
Now, he was talking about a last adventure. Why not here now? However, I don't think it'll be fatal.
Drag him!
Don't any of you move!
Take his arm.
Just who are you, sir?
I doubt if it makes any difference, but my name is Bonner, Vint Bonner.
And what makes you think this is any of your business?
I don't think you'd understand.
My boys were just having a little fun. I wouldn't have let anything happen to them. They find it as distasteful as I do, the thought of this outlander spilling Southern blood.
You're stuck with the wrong idea, Colonel. The rebellion is over.
You're a man of tremendous pride, sir. I too have a remnant left of that very dubious virtue. And I should like a satisfaction for your, let's say, very ungracious welcome.
Really?
Will you please get off your horse, Colonel?
Don't turn this into something crude. Count von Gilse wishes to make this an affair of honor. As a gentleman completely sensitive to your outraged feelings, I accept. I shall see that the necessary arrangements are made.
Von Gilse didn't get all those medals just fighting for the Union. A couple were from Emperor Maximilian in Mexico, another from Garibaldi in Italy, and a real elegant one from the Republic of Costa Rica. To a girl like Sophie, born and raised in Prairie City, this was a genuine hero, 10 feet tall, right out of those Eastern novels. A washed-up freebooter and a romantic girl.
You're a very strange young lady. So gentle with a washcloth and so ferocious holding a gun.
It's the first time I ever had a shotgun in my hands.
I'm afraid I've caused you both a lot of trouble.
Let's say you just showed up at the wrong time.
Perhaps the time and the place were meant to be.
I don't know what you mean.
I believe that the Colonel and I are very much alike.
How's that?
Well, he saw his way of life die right in front of his eyes. In Europe, that happened to me also. There is an intriguing rightness that the two of us should face each other like this.
It sounds kind of foolish to me.
Whether I die or live, it's of monumental unimportance. Indeed, there is a theatrical quality about the whole thing that appeals to me.
Come in.
One of Colonel Brumley's men wants...
The Colonel doesn't waste any time. Since you have issued the challenge, it is my privilege to name the weapons. I have chosen guns. A shootout, frontier style, in front of the hotel, at your convenience. Obediently, James William Brumley.
Any answer?
You said what you came to say. You can go now.
I'd like to take you on sometime, mister. Any style.
You mustn't do this. Promise me you won't.
Your concern touches me deeply, Fraulein.
You stay where you are. Let me have this.
But...
Let Vint handle this, please, Count von Gilse.
I would rather you called me by my first name.
You can't fight Bromley's way. You don't have a chance. Why, he'd kill you before you could even draw.
And I would be very honored to call you Sophie.
Oh, stop it. I just can't believe you care so little for your life. Everyone has some kind of dream to live for.
You are so young.
Look at me.
Child, you're like a flower, so sweet and pure and fair. Du bist wie eine Blume. That's the name of the poem.
It's lovely. But isn't there anything I can say to... At least wait. Wait until Vent gets back.
Very well. I'll wait.
Take your good, gentle time here. This little beauty loves plenty of attention. Colonel.
You serious about this?
I'm completely lacking in a sense of humor.
But it would be just the same as shooting a man in the back.
Man shouldn't carry a gun if he doesn't know how to use it.
You carry a gun. How would you like to change things around a bit? You accept this and consider the signature mine.
I found out a few things about you, Mr. Bonner. No thanks. If I took you up, it would be like you shooting me in the back.
All right, then. Let him ride out of town just as peaceable as he rode in.
I'm afraid you misunderstand me. True, I'm not a gunman, but I make sure I have the best talent in Texas. If I merely wanted to have a man killed. But with Von Gilse, it's something very deep and personal. Something I must do. Be careful of her mane. She's very touchy.
That the way you want to leave it?
Count Von Gilse took his chances when he joined the Northern Army, didn't he? Well, now he can take his chances here against me. That clear?
That's clear.
Mr. Bonner. It's now 5:30. I'm giving you until 6 o'clock to get out of town. If you choose to prolong your visit for some foolish reason or other, you can argue the point with Mr. Clegg here in the saloon of the Wilmer House. You lose, but you can argue.
It's like we scared him off.
You're a rotten judge of men, Clegg.
What are you doing here?
Making sure the right people go in and out.
I'm sure glad you're back, Mr. Bonner. With 3 saloons in town, Colonel Bromley's outfit suddenly decided to favor us with their patronage.
Miss Wilmer's still in the room?
Yes, sir.
You hold still.
I'm concerned about Vent.
Oh, you needn't be.
Aren't you through playing nurse, young lady?
Peter, you know, some people can be wrong about things without even knowing it. Like I was.
You?
Yes. Only a few hours ago, I hated this town. And now I can see how it could be the only place in the world I'd want to live.
And what is the great secret that has performed this miracle?
Falling in love. Don't you believe it could happen this way?
don't know what to think.
Well, men fall in love with pictures in the Matrimonial Gazette, and Grace Pridey, she went to marry a cousin in Vermont she'd never even seen before.
Yes, that's enough.
Well, you may not love me, but you do need me.
You do not know anything about me.
Oh, I know you're gentle and you're tender. Everything I ever wanted.
That's impossible.
Oh, don't you see? You could be wrong, too. There could be a place for you, and it could be right here.
You seem to forget a matter of my immediate future.
Oh, Vint will take care of that somehow, and tomorrow the Texans will be gone, and we could start a new life for ourselves right here. You know, my father was right. You have to work for your happiness wherever you are. You never find it wrapped neatly in a package over the next hill. You found that out. So have I.
Your father was a very wise man. And he had a lovely daughter. My Liebchen. Oh, my Liebchen.
But Vint told you to wait until he got back.
I waited too long already.
No reason we can't have a drink before you two gentlemen start arguing.
It's after 6, Clay.
wouldn't want to be in your way.
It's his shoulder.
You can put your gun away, Mr. Bonner. Took a lot of courage for you to come into this saloon tonight. The same goes for our European friend there when he drew Zach's fire from you.
What's the matter, Colonel Bromley? You getting religion?
No. Just a regrettable flaw in my character. I admire courage in a man. Any man.
I'll get you a doctor.
You know, a man is a strange kind of animal. He can wander the face of the earth and never find a place to call his own. I've wounded some myself, and I know. It looked to me as though Peter von Gilse had found his place.
Like that, Vince Bonner's liable to fall down. Is that rickety? What you doing in these parts?
Well, right now I'm looking for a tall glass of cold buttermilk.
You come to the right place. But don't let that critter of yours get in my flowers.
Oh, they're pretty. I don't think a herd of buffalo could get in your flowers.
Well, things do get in there. That's nice and cold. I just brought it up from the spring house.
That was good.
Want some more? There's plenty more.
No, that'll do for now. If I can get some supper later.
Sure. Can you stand fried chicken and hot biscuits and butter and rice pudding?
You know, if I force myself real hard, I just might manage to choke it down.
And you better try real hard. You know, last time you ate here, you left a whole $50 under your plate. And you know I never charge more than 2 bits for supper.
Now, Elsa, one of your suppers is worth 4 bits of any man's money, anytime, anywhere. You know it. I'm going down to the creek and get washed up.
While you're down there, see if you can round up that old brindle muley cow of mine, will you?
She jumped that 6-foot fence?
Yeah, there ain't a fence built that can keep that critter. You know, sometimes I think she's crossed with a jackrabbit or one of them kangaroos.
I'll bring her back. Whoa.
Well, Mr. Marcus, you're ahead of schedule this trip.
2 days, to be exact, Mrs. Carpenter. Hey, you're looking fine.
I'm feeling fine, and you?
Fine. And that reminds me, I've got something to show you that's fine. Extra fine.
My, it's beautiful. What kind is it, Mr. Marcus?
It's a new kind by the name of American Beauty.
American Beauty?
Makes roses as big as a teacup. Solid red.
A teacup?
Maybe not such a big teacup, but big enough. My future mother-in-law's got one blooming in Dallas already. And the smell? It's like angels breathing down your nose.
How much would it be, Mr. Marcus?
For anyone else, 50 cents. For you, only 35 cents. All the way from Baltimore, Maryland. Imported.
Well, I guess I better wait till next time. I'm short of so many staples that this is no time to be throwing money away on fancies.
All right. Maybe next time.
I'll need 20 pounds of sugar.
20 pounds sugar?
Oh, I'll give you the list later. I got it all set down. You're staying for supper.
I wouldn't eat any place else. If Rector's was next door and I was a millionaire.
Oh! Well, howdy, Duke.
Howdy, Yosa. You got any buttermilk?
Plenty down at the spring house.
Well, we can drink a barrel full. Been spitting cotton all day.
Well, from the looks of you haven't been drinking buttermilk all day.
Oh, no, Osa. We ain't drunk. We just been celebrating. A man don't sell 500 head of prime steer every day.
Did you get a good price?
Top of the market. Got the dinero right here to prove it. Enough to buy and sell this whole outfit twice over.
My outfit ain't for sale.
Who are you?
I'm David Marcus, merchant.
Merchant? You mean peddler, don't you?
He looks more like a dancer than a peddler, dude. Yeah, start dancing.
I don't want any trouble with you, mister.
Dance.
Oh, I can't fight no woman. But I'll remember you, peddler.
Don't hurt a bit. It's fine.
No thanks to Duke Ballinger. Could have smashed the bone for all of him. He's no good, and his pappy was no good before him. They're a mean breed, them Ballingers.
And on account of me, I brought trouble on you, Mrs. Carpenter. I don't like it.
You won't bother me. It's you'll take out after.
So I won't stop at this ranch.
But the road takes you right past it.
It's the only road to San Angelo.
Well, you could go round by way of Brazos City.
I've got customers on the San Angelo road. They're depending on me. I've got merchandise they ordered already. I couldn't disappoint my customers.
Marcus, the peddler. You know him?
Well, I saw him at the barn. He was currying those horses down like he's getting ready to drive a funeral wagon.
Don't talk like that. It's bad luck.
Something wrong?
Duke Ballinger and his men were by here today.
Uh-oh.
They'd sold some stock down at the railhead and stopped by to get some buttermilk to cool their thirst.
With that red-eye that Duke drinks, he needs something to cool him off.
Well, when I went to get the buttermilk, Duke started picking on Mr. Marcus, started shooting at his feet, trying to make him dance.
Yeah?
I lost my temper and threw the buttermilk all over Duke.
Good for you.
Yeah, but bad for Mr. Marcus. Duke will take it out on him. Said so when you rode off.
What do you want me to do for Mr. Marcus?
I want you to ride herd on him for a couple of days, till you get past Duke's place. Duke won't do nothing to him with you along.
I can do that. Be glad to.
It's my fault for losing my temper.
Now, sir.
I can pay for my mistakes.
Now, look, I'm not going to take money for a thing like this.
Don't argue with me, Vint Bonner. Those are wages. I'm going to call Mr. Marcus now. He'll carry that team all night if I don't. And don't let on to Mr. Marcus about this. He's a right proud man.
Oh, I wouldn't let him know. I'll just tell him I'm going the same way as he is, and my horse is saddle galled so I can sit up in the wagon with him.
Well, I reckon the Lord will forgive you for that kind of lie. And anyhow, Mr. Marcus will be good company for you. He's a nicely mannered man.
I've been saving every penny for over 8 years already. Now, this trip makes the final amount for the store I'm going to buy in Dallas. So, it's not a very big store. So it can grow. Dallas can grow.
That's a pretty big town now. Last time I was there, they said they had 4,000 people.
That must have been 3 or 4 years ago, Mr. Bonner. Today we've got... nearly 6,000 people.
6,000 people.
I probably won't live to see it, naturally, but my children, if I get any, or my grandchildren, if my children get any, will probably live to see the day when Dallas can have a population of 25,000 people.
25,000 people? That's just plain silly.
All right. It'll happen.
25,000 people.
You know something, Mr. Marcus? Traveling with you's been kind of an education to me.
The pleasure is mine. I'm happy to have the company. It's a lonesome business.
What I mean is I never realized how important a merchant.
Don't be embarrassed to say peddler. I'm proud to be a peddler. A peddler today, tomorrow a merchant. Next year, my sister's son, Samuel, takes over the route. He's made lots of trips with me.
Well, it's good that the route will be kept up.
Not only will it be kept up, I'm planning to put out more wagons. The opportunity is unlimited the way my sisters have nephews.
I guess every man's always thought of getting married and settling down.
Someday you'll meet a girl like my Sarah. She'll do that thinking for you.
Maybe that's why I keep roving.
Mm. You hear that coyote out there? Well, he's free, but he's lonesome. And he's talking to the moon about hunger and lady coyotes. Mostly, I think, about lady coyotes. I'll show you something. They like fiddle music. You hear? They like the way I play.
That's a mighty fine instrument.
Has a sweet voice. Came down to me from my grandfather.
What are you doing?
I was going to put some salve on your horse's saddle gall. But look, that's not a scab. It's egg yolk.
I wonder how that happened.
So you would have an excuse to ride with me and protect me from Bellinger? It was Mrs. Carpenter's idea, So did she pay you for the job?
Well, I put the money back in a tin can. I was coming this way anyway.
That poor woman couldn't afford 35 cents for a rose bush, yet she pays someone to protect me.
She's a fine woman.
Yeah. And you're a fine man, Mr. Bonner. But there's a little mistake you and the lady both are making. I've got to drive my wagons past Duke Bellinger's ranch by myself. Alone.
Why?
So he'll know I'm not afraid of him. Which I am. But he won't ever know it. It's a public road, Mr. Bonner. I must use it as I would any other public road. You understand?
I understand, but a man like Duke Ballinger won't understand. The only thing he knows is force. I think you better let me go along.
Don't worry. And I want to thank you for everything.
We'll meet again sometime.
It will always be a pleasure, I assure you.
sure picked a fine time to go lame on me. Now I gotta catch that wagon on foot, if I can.
He's going to ride right on by without stopping to pass the time of day.
Why, that ain't polite. Get down, Mr. Peddler, and show us your wares.
If you want to buy something, I'll show it to you.
All right, do that.
What did you wish to see?
Let's see what you got.
Yeah, let's see.
You got any whiskey? No, I don't carry it.
Coming around here without no drinking liquor? You're wasting my time.
Please, that's not for sale. That's for a wedding gown for a customer of mine, please. Please, mister, don't. That's for a young girl for her wedding gown. Please. She's been waiting for it. Please.
This peddler's on the feisty side, boys. He's nervous. Take him over and tie him up to the chute.
Interested in an elegant wash pan?
No, can't you see? It's got a hole in it.
Yeah. Hey, peddler, ain't you got no shame trying to sell us a pan with a hole in it? Yeah.
Wow. Here's something that the peddler's worried about.
Please. Mister, please.
Why, look, he's begging me. He wants me to play for him.
I am begging you. Put it back in the case. I'll pay you, please.
Oh, now my feelings are hurt. He don't want me to play for him. So I'll play anyhow. Why, everything he's got falls apart. Here.
Hey, Duke.
Well, if it ain't Vint Bonner. Just having a little fun with this here peddler. What are you doing in these parts?
I'm working for that peddler.
Wait a minute, Vint. We ain't gonna draw against you.
Then drop your guns. All of you. In the mud. Spoke. Stamp them in. Untie him.
You all right, Mr. Marcus?
Yes, I'm all right.
I understand you made some money on a cattle deal. Let's have it. How much were those things worth, Mr. Marcus?
$10 or $11.
Here's 100. And 500 for the violin.
You're the man with a gun. Do you think you could make it stick without it?
I think so. Watch those two, Mr. Marcus.
Don't move. You stay there.
Wouldn't have happened if my horse hadn't pulled up lame.
So I made you lame a good horse.
It's not that bad. It's just a little strain. He'll be all right soon.
But all that money, I can't keep all that money for myself, Mr. Bonner. It wouldn't be right.
Well, you deserve something for your trouble. You've got to go back to Dallas, postpone your wedding.
Maybe I won't. Maybe my nephew's teeth will be fixed by now and he can make the trip.
Well, how about your violin? That's something.
Well, I could buy another one, of course. Wouldn't be the same. No, Mr. Bonner. I've got over $600 I don't want. That kind of money's not lucky. Now, you wasted some time, too.
Don't look at me. If you don't want that money, you give it away. There are plenty of deserving people.
Well, I can't think of anything except maybe some roses for Mrs. Carpenter. Mrs. Carpenter. You know something I'm thinking? Mrs. Carpenter started all this when she lost her temper and threw that buttermilk. She ought to bear some of the responsibility, if you understand my meaning.
I understand your meaning, Mr. Marcus, and you're dead right. She started the whole gall darn thing.
Vint Bonner, I got a bone to pick with you.
What'd I do now?
That money I paid you to take care of Mr. Marcus, you went and stuck it back in the coffee can. And that Mr. Marcus, he went and planted that rose bush in my garden when I wasn't looking. And I made him take the 35 cents before he left this morning.
And you did just right.
Yeah, and you're going to take the $4. Vint Bonner, don't you dare ride off.
I'm sorry, Osa. I gotta go.
What's the meaning of all this?
What?
All all this money in my coffee can?
Well, it's a long story, and I haven't got time to tell you, but all I can say is you had it coming.
Had it coming?
Sure, for losing your temper.
You come back here, do you hear? You come here! Come back here!
If we don't smash them thieving redskins now, next time it'll be us that gets smashed.
We got witnesses that seen two of Tashuka's braves do the stealing.
Punish the thieves, not the whole tribe.
You've been living peacefully with Tashuka for quite a spell now. Why up in the wagon?
They raided the warehouse, stole our grain right out from under us.
All I know is you start a war, maybe you win, maybe you don't. But there are going to be some people here it won't make any difference to, maybe you.
You expect us to stand around whilst they skin us like coyotes?
Why don't you talk to Tashuka? Ask him to turn the thieves over to you. He's a pretty reasonable old rascal. I know, I used to trade horses with him.
Say, it might be worth a try.
Better than putting up our scalps for grabs.
They don't want a war either.
Why don't you go in and talk to them, Bent? He's done business with them before. He said so.
Now listen, I was just coming through town. All of a sudden I started to worry that maybe the town had bitten off more than I could chew. At least I'd learned one thing. It's downright foolish to speak up at public meetings.
You must know, Bonner, that I cannot allow any of my people to suffer the white man's justice.
Well, Chief, from what you say, we both know that they're guilty. In the treaty, it says that wrongdoers will be punished by the peoples whose laws they've broken. It's the white man's laws that have been violated.
No, I cannot give them up.
I can promise a fair trial, as if by your own people. If you refuse, however, the men of the town will come and there will be bloodshed. I cannot stop them. Warriors will die on both sides. They wrangled a long time, but you could tell that Tashuka didn't want to risk a war if he could get out of this thing honorably.
My people have sworn to a treaty. They will honor it.
Your people have made a wise decision.
But I must have your word.
Trial will be fair.
More than that, we have agreed to abide by your law. Then your people must promise to abide by ours, if ever they enter our midst.
I promise.
Running Fawn, are you ill?
No, it is nothing.
You are sure?
I am sure, my father.
The logs belong by the fire.
The prisoners will rise. The jury finds you guilty. Since this is first offense, 60 days.
Got off light. Too light. But I guess it's better than war. Ed and me, that's the missus. We'd be pleased if you had supper with us tonight, Mr. Bonner.
Thank you very much. I'll go to the hotel and change my shirt.
Pick you up in half an hour. Bonner, glad we listened to you.
Don't mention it.
Well, I guess this calls for a drink, huh?
Come on out. Come on out. What are you doing in there?
I come to you, to be with you always.
Yeah, well...
Bonner is kind to Running Fawn.
Sure, let loose. Let loose. Would you let loose? Let loose. Oh, come on in here.
But you say come on out.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? Well, look, I'll go in and you stay here.
follow you always.
Yeah. Well, you can't do it tonight because I'm going out and I've got to get dressed. So I want you to...
I help.
Running Fawn, you can't stay here. What with the other Indians? What are you doing? Now, I'm perfectly capable of dressing myself.
I have many skills. I make moccasins for you.
Well, thanks, but I just don't use them.
You will like mine. I chew leather 2 days to make soft. Very strong teeth. See?
Charming.
Bonner.
Who is it?
Sam Tapley. The missus and me, we come by to pick you up.
Sam, you stay right there. I'll be right out.
We'll come on right in and set a spell till you're ready.
Don't do that, Sam. Don't do that, Sam. It's kind of stuffy in here. I'll be out in a minute. Now, you sit right there and you don't make a sound. After I leave, you go home. Please. Sam,
What's that?
I don't think I'll be able to make it tonight.
Something wrong, Mr. Bonner?
Well, I don't feel very well, to tell the truth.
Sorry to hear that. Well, some other time.
Running Fawn, will you get on your horse and go home?
I cannot leave you.
And I can't take you out through the lobby with all those people. Take you home tomorrow. Let me loose. Now, you sleep on the bed.
I do not wish to sleep.
Well, then, chew on some leather. How'd I get here?
I pick you up. Very strong.
You picked... Where did you sleep?
There. Like proper squaw.
Well, proper squaw, I'm going to take you back to the village before I get in any more trouble. Good morning, ladies. Running Fawn, I'm sorry if I've been a little rough on you, but I want you to go home and stay there. Now, scat. Hello, Chief Tashuka.
Bonner, my friend.
I have good news for you. Your men were treated fairly, and they got off with a light sentence.
Thank you, I have heard.
Well, you still look worried.
There is a matter of grave concern. My daughter. No one has seen her since yesterday.
Oh, well, she'll probably turn up. Maybe she's off with some young brave, picking wildflowers.
This is a sad thing for me, but my braves do not look with favor upon Running Fawn.
Running Fawn?
The daughter of a chief, and she cannot find a mate.
That's too bad, but... Oh, she'll find someone any day now.
To appear before me with a young man would be a most welcome sign of vows between them. I would then hasten to unite them in the ancient marriage ceremony of my people.
Well, that sounds real fine, Chief. I gotta get back to town now. I see you some other time. Give me some cider.
Well, here he is, the sagebrush Casanova. I don't blame you for weaseling out on us last night. You're a sly one, Bonner.
Cut it out, will you? It wasn't that way at all. I went to talk to the chief. Stop it, will you? I went to talk...
Bonner, I come back to be near you again.
She's the one?
Running Fawn belongs to Bonner.
Well, Bonner disowns Running Fawn. You're going home. Where's your horse?
Come on, boys.
Bonner, my daughter tells me you look with favor upon her.
Chief, I can explain this.
You are together. It is a sign for which I have waited.
It's a sign I can't get rid of her.
Twice she left our village for you. Once she did not return until morning.
Vint, is this true?
Look, let me explain and...
It's too late to explain. You will marry Running Fawn.
Marry? What have you been telling him?
It is a law of our people. When a man and woman find acceptance in each other's eyes, they marry.
Now look, we're old friends, Chief, and if you'll just give me a chance to explain,
You cannot refuse. I honored white man's law. I gave you thieves. Now you honor Indian law. You marry my daughter.
I can't do it.
If my daughter is not Bonner's squaw by sundown tomorrow, it will be a sign of war between our people.
What do we do now, Sheriff?
I know what to do.
Look, put that thing away. Won't do any good. Besides, the rest of the tribe knows all about this.
That is true. Thank you. But it does nothing. It's marriage or war.
Well, Bonner, I guess the rest is up to you. I'll have Edna take care of the girl to the ceremony. You go get ready.
Well, wait.
I was in a fix, and then I knew what I had to do. There are times when a man has to face facts without flinching. The only manly thing to do was to run.
Going someplace? Thought you might try something like this. Haven't you got any feelings of sympathy?
Yeah, for me.
How about the town?
Easy, boy. I like you.
We're interested in stopping the war, and you're the only one that can do it.
Marriage ain't that bad. Look at me. I've been happily married to Mrs. Tapley for 25 years.
Have you seen the girl?
Well, a man can get used to anything. Now, you give me your promise you'll stay in town nice and peaceful till the knot's tied.
I'll give you my promise I'll get out of here the first chance I get.
Then we better put you someplace where we know you're going to be safe. Now move.
Get going. Go on. I thought he is in the jail, but you're too chummy with the sheriff. This back room is strong enough.
Just like a prisoner, huh?
Well, let's just consider you a prisoner of love. And don't try that window up there. It's barred. And we'll have a guard on the door, too. Come on, boys.
Pleasant dreams.
It'll be safe enough in here.
How did you get in here? What happened to the guard?
I hit him over the head. I watched from the house. You do not wish to marry Running Fawn.
No, I'm sorry, Running Fawn. I don't.
I want my Bonner to live in happiness. Go. Be free.
You know, Running Fawn, there's more to you than meets the eye.
That Bonner. When a man's threatened by marriage, his character goes all to pieces.
You shouldn't have let him out of your sight for a second.
I hope no one will come to harm because of me.
I just can't get it through my head why you let him go when you was so all fired up to marry him.
I wish Bonner to want me for myself, not because other people say he must. You understand?
Yes, dear, I do. A woman would.
I couldn't do it. Oh, I'm a coward where females are concerned, but if the chief meant what he said, there would be a lot of dead people in this town soon.
come back.
Hey, Vince, you're a brave man after all. Out of your mind, but brave.
Well, I took a little ride on my horse, and I thought things over, and I decided that, well, Running Fawn and I are going to be married.
Great. The war's off.
Wonderful. Did you hear that, Running Fawn? Bonner's going to marry after all.
No.
What?
Now, wait a minute.
What did you say?
I am the daughter of a chief. A suitor must ask for my hand. In proper style.
Well, now, look, let's just cut out the nonsense, shall we?
Proper proposal or no wedding.
If there's no wedding, this town could be a wheat field by tomorrow night.
All right.
She's holding the reins.
You said it.
Proper proposal.
All right. Running Fawn, will you do me the honor to become my squaw, wife, will you?
Yes, Bonner.
Oh, Mr. Bonner, I'll fix your little bride up so pretty for the wedding you won't even recognize her.
I'm so happy.
Come on.
Oh, congratulations, Vince.
Let me congratulate you, Vince.
I am different. No?
Couldn't believe my eyes for a moment, but when I did, I got the glimmering of an idea. It wasn't much, but it did have a chance. Yes. You're a lot different. You know what? I think tomorrow I'll take my little bride to be out for a ride. We'll show Tashuka's braves just what they're losing. Deadline for the wedding, that is, was sundown. By now, Tashuka's war party was sure to be on its way, and I had only one card to play. It had to do with an old Indian custom.
Howdy, Chief. Bonner, is this a trick?
Trick? Oh, no, Chief. I'm just taking my bride-to-be for a little drive before our wedding this afternoon.
The ceremony must take place by sundown.
Oh, by all means. Nothing could stop my wedding to your daughter, the beautiful Running Fawn.
My braves asked that I point out to you a tradition of our tribe.
Oh, tradition?
Wherever possible, a daughter of a chief is to marry one of her own tribe.
Oh, I see.
In all honesty, I do not. They never showed this interest in Running Fawn before. I told them she was promised to you. The decision is yours. Do you wish to release her from her vow? If you refuse, I will forbid them to speak of it again.
Oh, no, I don't refuse, Chief. What I mean is I do not wish to violate any of your traditions.
You respect our ways, Bonner. Therefore, I have answered to your problem.
You do?
I propose a test of strength in the tradition of our tribe.
Test of strength?
If one of my braves would win Running Fawn from you, he must first prove himself to be the stronger warrior.
I see. Yeah. Both of them?
It's tradition. We may shake her. Whoever has the strength of arms to throw the other shall be declared the winner.
I was pretty good at this sort of thing, if I do say so myself, so my only problem was to make this look good. Since there were two of them, I figured I'd let the second brave win Running Fawn, and I'd be on my way. Chief, losing Running Fawn is the saddest moment of my life, but it is better that she marries a man of her own tribe.
You have made a noble sacrifice. They also wish to challenge you in a test of strength.
Well, why don't they fight him? He won.
Later they will decide among themselves who shall have Running Fawn. Now they wish only to show themselves worthy of asking for her hand.
Well, all four of them?
It's tradition.
Tradition.
So I had to lose the next one. And the next. And the next. And so on. Surprising how far a man will go to keep from getting hooked. Question is, was it worth it? Bob Jefferson, whom I'd worked with when he surveyed the railroad route through Gorson Pass, had asked me to look in on Father Luke at Santa Rosa Mission. Said he wanted to talk to me. I couldn't figure out how he knew me in the first place, and since I hadn't had much to do with priests, I was a little nervous.
Come in, come in.
Father Luke?
Yes, and you must be Mr. Bonner.
Yes, sir.
Come in, Mr. Bonner, and make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
How long has it been since you were inside a church, Mr. Bonner?
Oh, well, too long, Father.
Well, we're human in spite of what some people say. Please, sit down and relax. I'm sure it must have been a tiresome trip. A little wine, perhaps. We make it ourselves. We're very proud of it.
No, thank you. Father, I understood you wanted to transact some business with me. The word I got was urgent.
If it's business you want, business you shall have. Mr. Bonner, I sent for you because your name has come to stand for courage and integrity in this territory.
How can I help you?
Ours is an order of missionaries, Mr. Bonner. Some of us, myself included, have established missions in the most remote parts of this country. One such mission has not been heard from in much too long a time. I have been assigned to go to that mission and see that all is well with the priest.
Well, that shouldn't be difficult for you, Father. If I were to guess, I'd guess you to be an experienced trailhand.
You'd guess wrong. I've been concerned with other things. I need a guide, Mr. Bonner. A good one. I need you.
I'm not a professional guide, Father. Of course, if I knew the country...
I understand you know it well. Our trip will start here at Santa Rosa, go over into Arizona to Santo Domingo.
Santo Domingo?
Yes.
But that's strictly Indian country. I don't believe there's been a white man in there for years.
There has been one, and I must find him.
Could be dangerous, Father. There are no trails. We'd have to make our own.
I'm prepared for that.
I hope you are. Well, the tally checks out just fine, Father. You've bought enough beans and meal to supply a whole army.
That's an interesting comparison.
I don't suppose you'd be willing to consider changing your mind.
I put it off much too long already. There'll be no more delays.
That about sums it up. We're ready to move.
Oh, Mr. Bonner, there is something else that I should tell you.
What's that?
The supplies on that wagon are not just for the two of us. There will be others on the trip.
That's a welcome surprise to me, Father. We can use a couple of good hands on country like that.
No, I'm afraid you don't quite understand. Good afternoon, sisters. Please come in. Mr. Bonner, Sister Marquette, and Sister Teresa.
Mr. Bonner, I'm very proud to meet you.
I'm happy to meet you, sister. And you, too.
Indeed, Mr. Bonner.
Well, Father, I'm anxious to meet our passengers.
You just have.
The sisters?
That's correct, Mr. Bonner.
They are nurses as well as teachers. We are told that the Indian women and children are badly in need of such care.
They've been in need of such care for centuries. A little while longer won't make any difference.
A little while longer will bring snow, and that will mean the delay of another year.
Those Indians are hunting scalps, not reading and writing.
I don't hand out the assignments. I just accept them.
Father, it was bad enough to hope that you and I could make it alone. With these women along, we don't stand a chance.
You are a man of very little faith, Mr. Bonner.
I know the country better than you, Father.
You may know the country.
Excuse me, Father. May I have a word? Mr. Bonner, we have not come this far just to cause trouble. I think you know that. But we have our missions to accomplish. If we're successful, maybe it won't be so dangerous for the next ones.
I'm sorry I lost my temper. I realize that to ask a man to participate in a cause in which he's not really a part...
Do you think these sisters know just what such a trip means?
I think we know Mr. Bonner.
I think you don't, sister. Have you ever seen an Indian smeared with war paint with a scalping knife in his hand? Have you seen men and women staked out on the plain to die in the sun?
No, and I don't think you have, Mr. Bonner.
What can I do to convince you people?
Is it possible that I overestimated you, Mr. Bonner?
It's entirely possible, Father. I'm sorry. Good day.
Just a minute, sisters. I'll help you.
Okay, sister, let me help you. There you are, Father.
Good morning, Mr. Bonner.
You know, I still couldn't believe that you intended to make this trip.
Oh, there's one more thing. If you'll give me a hand, it'll only take a minute. Then you can be on your way and we'll be on ours, huh?
Mighty handsome bell, Father.
I don't suppose it makes any difference to the Lord. But a mission doesn't seem complete to me without a bell.
Or a priest?
Sun's getting high, Mr. Bonner. The sisters and I should be hitting the trail.
Hold it, Father. If I can't talk you out of this trip, well, the least I can do is go along with you.
You have a very great talent. It isn't every man who can make one feel at home out in the middle of nowhere.
Think nothing of it, sister.
I think you should make some girl a very acceptable husband.
Coming from Sister Teresa, I would consider that a compliment of the greatest proportion.
Father, maybe you can tell me something. Why is it that women, all of them, always want to talk about marriage?
I would hardly consider that a basis for complaint, Mr. Bonner. Somewhere inside you, she sees a gentleness, a kindness. Like every other young woman, she doesn't want to see it go to waste.
But she's a nun.
And she's a woman, Mr. Bonner.
About 3 or 4 hours. We just as well stay there for the night. It's as good a place as any among these bluffs.
Well, now we'll get some rest, huh? Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
You do wonders with these dried beans, Sister Teresa.
It's a simple formula, Father. A cup of beans, a little luck, and 2 very hungry men who would eat anything after 4 weeks on the trail.
Amen.
I've got a favor to ask, Father.
Anything at all, Mr. Bonner.
Well, it's this Mr. Bonner business. Would you mind calling me Vint? All these Mr. Bonners will spoil me for when I get back among just everyday folks.
Well, speaking for myself, I should be delighted. As for Sister Teresa, you'll have to take that up with her yourself.
Well, sister?
I would consider it an honor, Vint.
Thank you.
To have put it off wouldn't have softened the blow.
It looks like you've come a long way for nothing.
No, Vint. This is a beginning.
We are 2 men and a girl, Father. This was done by Apache warriors. They don't play by your rules.
Have we given them much chance?
What about the girl?
Sister Teresa may return with you if she wishes. That is a decision you will have to get from her.
Sister, we've come far into dangerous country. The Indians raided the mission once. They can do it again. If you wish, I'll take you back to your convent.
I know that you're only thinking of us. But what you see around you is not the product of defeat. It's more a reminder of all the work there is to be done. If I am to help, I must be where I am needed.
To do a man's work?
God's work.
Well, Father, you've got your bell.
A truly beautiful sight.
It's wonderful, Father.
50, 100 years from now, when men have forgotten the differences that caused the bloodshed here, they will still see the bell. But enough preaching for today. I think we owe ourselves a little celebration.
just leave him here. We've got to help him. We can't just leave him there. We can't leave him there. We've got to help him. But he's hurt. He'll die if we don't go back.
Too late, sister.
No.
He's dead.
Not Father
He's
Luke.
got an arrow clear through him. He was a fine man, but he was only a man.
And us? What about us?
We can wait.
It was a typical Apache trick to strike with terror and then wait for panic.
Anything?
I can't figure it out. They should have rushed us by now. She was frightened, I think, but she didn't show it. She had real courage.
Is there any chance for us?
Some, maybe.
You can be truthful with me.
Sister, I don't know how many there are of them, but there's only 2 of us. These people haven't changed their customs for hundreds of years. To them, you'll be like any other white woman. They'll have no respect for what you wear or what you stand for. This could be it. I didn't know what to expect, but this could be the bait. I decided to hold my fire. Since he was alone, I'd better not show my hand yet. Looked like he was wounded, but I'd learned long before to never trust appearances where an Indian was concerned. Flowered shirt meant he could be a chief's son. He was hurt all right. Looked like he'd taken a bad fall.
There. That ought to keep it clean until he can get back to his own people.
You want to let him go?
Yes.
Let every brave in the countryside know that there's only 2 of us here?
I wouldn't be surprised if they know it already, Mr. Bonner. He's only a boy. I want you to let him go.
For the life of me, I cannot say why. But I did as she said. I admire your trust, sister. But we're getting out of here, even if I have to tie you hand and foot to do it. If you're wrong, we'll be dead by nightfall. If I'm wrong, we'll live a little while longer.
And Father Luke?
I'll dig a place for him.
By his will, Mr. Bonner. I think he would like it like that.
This was borrowed time, all of it. By everything I knew, both of us should be dead by now. He broke the war arrow. I could hardly believe my eyes. That one act of Christian charity could conquer an Apache war party seemed impossible. Buffalo hides, blankets, each brought a peace offering. Sister, let me add mine.
Vint, I already have much more than I can ever spend.
Someday you'll have need of it. She would be safe. It says in the book that faith can move mountains. It seems more important to me that it can move people. I'd been riding fence since sunup, and it was a hot day, hotter than usual. For the last 3 hours, I'd been thinking about just how a cold beer would taste.
Hi, Pete.
Hi. Give me a beer, will you?
Hot enough for you?
Yeah, plenty.
Well, what do you know?
Not much.
There you are.
Thanks.
Say, what's his name?
Vint Bonner.
Where in the world did you pick up a name like Vint Bonner?
Look, mister, I've had a long, hard day and I'm tired. Now, why don't you just move along?
All right. That's the way you want it. That Vint Bonner fella, has he been around here long?
Oh, several years, on and off.
Well known?
Everybody knows Vint Bonner.
Why? Oh, no reason.
Ain't seen you in a long time. What do you want?
Yes, it has been a long time. Oh, you're a dead ringer, Gene. Without that mustache, you're a dead ringer.
What are you talking about?
A fellow up in Hondo, name of Bonner. Vint Bonner.
Never heard of him. Did you come through Laredo on your way?
Oh, yes, I did. Now, this Bonner...
Did you hear anything about the El Paso stage robbery?
Well, nobody has the slightest idea who did that. They said there were only a few $100s in the strongbox.
$225. 3 passengers. Woman was kind of pretty.
I could never kill a woman.
Woman can identify you as quick as a man.
When you hear what I have in mind.
Of course, that was when the whole thing started. I didn't give it much thought at the time. Or even when he came back to town about 3 weeks later with the sick man.
Looks like something real drastic happened to that fellow. Hope it wasn't smallpox.
A couple of wing feathers from that bottle of ancient owl, my friend. And a couple of short beer chasers. There. There you have an example of man's triumph over disaster, gentlemen. Although grievously burned when a kerosene lamp exploded, it's not necessary for him to suffer the pangs and punishment of a burning thirst. Of course. My friend and patient would like to buy drinks for the house, gentlemen.
Sheriff, Vint, what'll it be? Small beer.
I'll have the same.
Thank you. To your very good health and early recovery, sir.
Well, permit me to introduce my patient, Mr. Eugene Baroda of Marfa. I'm Dr. Nicholas Dawson, same city. We're on our way north to a hospital in San Francisco where Mr. Baroda will undergo treatment for burns. We've elected to stay in your fair city for a few days while my patient recovers his strength.
Windy fella, ain't he?
I'm Miles Seacamp. I run the King Hotel right next door.
Well met, Mr. Seacamp. Perhaps you can arrange suitable accommodations for us.
Sure can. Right this way.
Sounds a little loco to me.
Yeah, it takes all kinds.
Now, you just sign right here. Let's see. Here. There you are. Room number 8, end of the hall, right in the corner.
Do you have a back stairway? My patient is a bit nervous about fire, naturally.
Oh, naturally. Got to have a back stairway, else he couldn't go out the back, huh?
Now, I'll get our luggage. You go on upstairs, rest yourself. Dr. Dawson. Well, was I right or was I right, huh?
Like looking in a mirror.
It's like taking candy from a baby. Taking candy from a little girl baby. One that's fast asleep at that. You just shave that mustache off your upper lip. It's not very becoming anyway, you know. Oh, that is incredible. Are you sure he's not some kind of a relative of yours?
I haven't got any relatives. Ed Saddletramp's just some kind of a freak. No. No, he doesn't walk quite like that, and he holds his mouth differently. Don't try to tell me what to do.
I just want you to talk like him and look like him and act like him.
Nobody's gonna notice much when they look in the end of this.
Gene, you're not up in the mountains now. Muzzle of that thing looks like open grave.
Now, you just sign that paper and forget about it till you sell your stock.
That makes $325 total, Vint. You saving up to get married or something?
Not me.
Just try it sometime. It's not half bad.
Guess you're right. How is Millie?
Fine.
The kids?
Growing like Johnson grass and eating like timber wolves. Baby's got 3 new teeth already.
No fooling.
No fooling. Word of honor. All in front.
Give Millie my regards. So long, Mr. Newcomb.
So long, Vint. Say hello to Charlie McCadden.
I'll do that when I see him.
It was the following day, and I was way up on the North Fork of Cottonwood Creek, as happy and contented as if I'd had good sense, and without the slightest inkling of what was taking place that very moment in town.
Hi, Vint.
Hi, Vint.
Hi.
That's funny. Vint must have had something on his mind.
Vint?
Hello, Vint. Taking the day off?
Fill this up. No silver, just greenbacks.
This is your idea of a joke, Vint. It's in bad taste. Very bad taste.
This is no joke.
Have you been on your mind?
Fill this up like I said. Greenbacks. Get the rest.
Bonner just held up the bank and killed Arch Tatum. Bonner? Don't stand there wasting time. Go get the sheriff. Hurry before he gets away. Let's meet through here.
You better go home and lay down. Your face is gray as ashes.
I'll be all right.
Sheriff's over at Standish's. I sent Ralph Kearney after him on a fast horse. He ought to be here in an hour, I figure.
Anybody sent for Doc Sorensen?
I stopped by his house. Mrs. Sorensen said he went over to Boston Forks on a call and won't be home before dark.
There's no need for a doctor now.
Are you sure that's all? Livery stable, too?
That's right, Doctor, and thank you. We're sorry you folks couldn't have stayed around a while longer. Things are usually quiet and peaceful around here.
I suppose it's none of my business, but what'll they do to him if they catch him? That, what's his name, who shot the cashier?
Arch Tatum left a widow and 3 little youngsters, Doctor.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, I guess you've answered my question. It's terrible. It's just terrible, that's what it is.
We've got to do something about it.
Now listen to me. Of course I'm going to form a posse.
When?
All of you just quiet down long enough for me to find out something.
All right, Roy, what do you want to find out?
Well, first, any of you see Vint Bonner come into town today? Or out again?
We didn't see him come in or out, but we saw him go into the bank.
And we sure saw him come out of it.
And gun down Arch Tatum.
Yeah.
Bert, you see anything strange or unusual about Vint when he came in the bank today?
Not until he pulled his gun.
No, I mean in his appearance, the way he looked.
No, he looked the same as he always looked. Except he wasn't smiling, and his eyes were kind of...
Kind of what?
Well, kind of wild and strange.
You mean like he'd been drinking or something?
No, nothing like that. There was just a different expression in them.
Then you're not sure it was Vint Bonner?
Yeah, I wish I wasn't sure, Roy. I like him as much as you do. There's no doubt about it. It was Vint, all right.
Of course it was Vint. I passed him on the sidewalk as close as I am to you. I spoke to him.
Did he answer you?
Of course he answered me. I said, hi, Vint, and he said hi, just before he went in the bank. Isn't that right, Luke?
Yeah, and seeing is believing, and we saw.
It's hard to believe that about Vint Bonner. All right, Luke. You pick 7 men and head south. I'll take the rest of you and head north. Now, we'll all spread out. The first one that spots him will report back to me.
Why?
Because I'm going to make the arrest, personally.
How come the first one sees him can't make the arrest?
Because Vint Bonner can outshoot and outdraw any of you, that's how come.
And you figure he can't outdraw you?
Oh, yes. He can outdraw me. But I don't figure he'll draw on me. I'm his friend.
So was I. So was Arch Tatum.
Well, I'm going to take my chances. Anyway, that's the way it's going to be.
All right. You're the sheriff, at least until next election.
Yeah, at least until then. Let's go.
I found him, Sheriff. I found him.
Where is he?
Why, up Cottonwood Creek, about a mile.
Did he see you?
No, sir. I took good care he didn't, too.
What's he doing?
Well, he's patching the line fence just as natural as though nothing happened.
You go round up the posse, Pid.
Sure you don't want me to back you up?
No, you do as I say. Go round up the boys.
Okay, if you say so.
Well, hi there, Sheriff. What are you doing away from the Oasis?
Oh, just thought I'd take a little ride, see what I could see.
Well, there's nothing up here but the scenery and me, of course.
How are you feeling?
Fine. Why?
You call that wire tight?
Well, sure, it's as tight as a fiddle. Well, you're getting kind of tricky in your old age, aren't you?
Take it easy, Vent. I don't want any trouble.
All right, Sheriff, I'll go quietly, but tell me something. Why are you practicing on me?
Not practicing. I've got to take you in.
What are you talking about?
They say you robbed the bank today and killed Arch Tatum.
Huh? Who says?
Art Newcomb, C Camp, Weber, about 1:15.
Well, I don't care what they say. I've been right here all day.
All alone?
Of course.
Well, I don't know what to think. But this is for sure. I'm going to see that you get the best doctor and lawyer in the country.
Doctor? What's the matter with you, Roy? You think I'm loco or something?
What else could it be, Vint? I know you wouldn't do a thing like this if you were right.
Now, look, I've had just
Please,
about...
don't make this thing any harder for me than it already is. I'm your friend. I don't care what happened. Go get your horse. You didn't do it. It was your twin brother.
Since I haven't got a twin brother, it's got to be someone else. Someone who looks like... Say, Roy.
Yeah.
You know that fella Dawson, the one who calls himself a doctor? Has that patient with the bandaged face.
What about him?
Well, I saw him over at the saloon about 3 weeks ago. He thought he knew me. It could have been someone else. Why don't we take a look at that man with the bandaged face?
About your size and build. You could be right. He could be a ringer.
That's right. Get him.
He left town right after the shooting, heading north.
Well, then you better head south toward the border.
I can't leave here now, Vince. I can't leave you alone in this jail.
Well, I'm not going to break out.
No, but somebody might break in.
What do you mean?
Feelings have been running high, Vint. Arch Tatum is well thought of. You know men don't make good sense when they get real mad.
You mean they might come for me?
That's right. They're out in the street now in small groups, talking quiet.
Roy, that's ridiculous. I've known these people a long time. They're friends of mine.
A murderer doesn't have any friends, Vint. And they saw you do it.
What are you going to do?
I'm not going to let them get you. I'm going to let you leave before they get here.
They could take this out on you, Roy.
No, they won't. You're going to knock me out and lock me up.
I don't know what to say, Roy. It's good to have someone believe in you.
Hit me.
Roy, I don't want to hit you.
Hit me!
You better keep that bandage on, Gene. You gotta wear it until your mustache grows out again.
I don't gotta wear it to sleep. It itches.
Doesn't itch as much as a rope will if they catch up with you.
I know, that's the beauty of this. They're off chasing this Bonner fellow.
By now, they've probably caught and lynched him.
Pretty soon we'll be in Mexico with all those beautiful greenbacks to spend.
You know,
This would be as good a time as any to divide it.
Why?
Well, in case something happened and we got separated or something.
That's just why we ain't gonna divide it.
What do you mean?
You know what would happen if someone was to catch up with us and the shooting started?
Why, I'd stay with you, help you fight them off.
In a pig's eye, you would. You'd run like a suck-egg dog.
Well, Gene, how can you say a thing like that?
Because that's what would happen.
That's gratitude for you.
You just be grateful. I could have took it all. I took all the chances.
Yeah. I guess you did at that. I'm not worried. I know you'll do right by me. Good night, Gene.
Spookier than I'd ever known him to be. I couldn't blame him. I felt the same way, but he was getting hard to handle.
people satisfied now?
You know, I believe that no matter what kind of a life a man has lived, or what wrong things he may have done, that there is good in every man. Take Sean McGibbon, for instance. He'd lived at the Pawnee a large part of his life. Trouble followed him like a stray dog.
What are we waiting for?
The sheriff had set a trap for a band of killers and cattle thieves that had been raiding the local ranches. It was the first time McGibbon had ridden with them, but once was enough.
You're gonna hang, mister.
Sheriff! What about the rest of them?
They got away.
Got away? Well, did you get a good look at them, know who they are, where to find them?
No, but he'll tell us.
Well, he'd better.
Sit down.
In the 20 years I've been in this valley, there's been nothing to match what this man's done. Him and the other.
All right, Henry, all right. Now, look, mister. There are two ways you can go. You can help us, and we'll see about helping you. You don't, you won't leave this town alive. Now, let's start nice and easy. What's your name?
You don't have to know that to hang me.
I might want to send a death notice. You got any kin?
You think you can wait and get off easy by facing the judge, huh? Well, mister, he lost men and cattle, same as the rest of us. Right, Dan?
Ain't a man in this valley hasn't had losses. It's like he says. Now, who were you riding with last night?
Answer the sheriff.
Now, take it easy, Henry.
Just leave him alone with me and Dan for 1 hour, and he'll treat you with more respect.
I don't want to do that. The way you're acting, mister, you don't give me much choice.
I have some water.
Wait a minute. He's too good for plain water. Let's flavor it a little, huh?
You keep that up, you're going to wind up inside.
Well, make him talk.
You're not going to make him talk that way.
You got a better one?
I know he's not going to tell you anything he doesn't want to.
We don't need your help, Bonner.
All right. But remember, you can't scare him and you can't beat information out of a man like McGibbon.
You know this fella, Vint?
I know him some.
Just how well do you know him?
Not well. Better than you do.
Vint. Think you can do anything with him?
I can try.
We don't need you. You either, Mr. Mercer.
Are you forgetting who pinned that star on you, Judd?
I'm not forgetting a thing.
Well, he waits long enough before telling us. His friends could be in Denver.
That's my worry, not yours. do. I'll give you half an hour.
What chance does he have if he tells you what you want to know?
None if he doesn't.
Remember me? Last time I saw you, I never figured you to wind up in a mess like this. That was when we chased those mescaleros off your place. Remember? Well, I guess there's no use wasting my time.
Now, wait a minute. Get me some food and someone to look at my arm. We'll see.
If you don't tell them what they want to know, you know what they're planning to do to you?
What, hang me?
You think your friends would protect you if the situation was reversed?
They ain't my friends. They'd cost me in a minute.
And why don't you tell the sheriff what he wants? If you're afraid of what might happen, they find out you talked, tell him. He'd protect you.
Look, Bonner, I'll make you a deal. You agree to it, I may still have to hang.
What kind of a deal?
Years ago, I ruined all my chances of ever doing much of anything decent with my life. Except for one thing. Right now, I'm important to someone. Someone that's mighty important to me. My little girl.
Your what?
You didn't think it was possible for a man like me to sire an innocent little girl, did you?
I just never figured.
Well, I didn't want nobody to. I figured I could take care of her myself. So the last few days, I decided I had to do something to get some money. I'd run out of time and thinking of ways to get it without...
Running with that pack again.
Yeah.
Do they know about your girl?
Yeah. And she's there alone. Tomorrow, the next day, I figure I'll get a message that they got her. And that if I talk, they'll... You can see why I gotta keep my mouth shut. I gotta face a rope. Unless you...
Unless I what?
Unless you'll get her, Bonner. You could. They've got a good start, but I could show you a way you could get there in no time.
Why don't you tell the sheriff this?
And have him running up a mountain with a posse. Whoever goes has got to go alone. Be careful. They might be there ahead of you, and they might not. But if they find out what you're after, they'll kill you, and her, too. I'm not asking for myself. If you'll bring her back here safe, I'll tell the sheriff anything he wants to know. It's up to you.
Doesn't look like I've got much choice.
Well, you got a lot more than I have. Here, you'll need this.
What for?
So she'll know you come from me and do what you say.
Couldn't I just give her a message or a note?
She can't read, Bonner. She can't speak or hear either. She's a deaf mute.
After leaving town, I figured I had a good 5 hours ride ahead of me, which meant that I wouldn't reach the cabin and McGibbon's little girl until just before dark.
That looks like we found the place.
Still say we should have headed straight for Mexico instead of fooling around here with her.
It's because you're getting old, Rudy.
How do we know McGivern ain't already spoke his little piece to the sheriff?
He hasn't, because he knows we know about her.
Howdy. We're friends of your pa's.
pretty little thing, ain't you?
Got anything to eat around here, ma'am? Did you say something she didn't like?
Cat's got her tongue. Is that right, Gav? No? Just stubborn, huh? Maybe this'll loosen you up. Your pa's in jail, and that's a fact. He sent us to take care of you.
Don't look like she cottons to you, Vestry.
No, it's more than that.
What's more than that?
She wants you to give her something.
I'll give her something. She don't speak to me.
Better leave her be, Vestry.
I told you.
Vestry? You better go see what she's up to.
Well, you act like you ain't never been kissed, honey.
Whoa, hold on here now. Wait a minute. What did I do? Want this? All right, here, take your...
So that's what it is. Well, she can't talk. She's an animal. That's what she is. She's a live, warm, beautiful, dumb animal.
No wonder McGivern kept her hidden away up here.
Can I get it going?
You better keep your eye on that girl.
Well, that won't be hard to do.
And I'll be keeping an eye on you. That's one job you fancy too much.
Anything you say, old man.
You figured out how you're going to get word to her pappy? Prisoners can receive mail. I'll get somebody to take a letter to the sheriff's office.
How long you figure it'll take you?
If I'm not back by tomorrow noon, you know what to do with the girl. Vestry, you mind what I told you? Get out. We better get some fodder up for the horses.
We better head. Still afraid, huh? It's all right. That's all right. You can get over that. You know you ain't got no more paw. No, not after tomorrow night you ain't. They're gonna hang him. You just got me. No, I don't speak no Pawnee. But you're going to understand me a lot better than you do, Rudy.
It was getting late in the day, but according to McGivern's directions, I couldn't be too far from his place now. Trouble was,
Just about every one of these mountain trails looked alike.
Where's Vestry? He asked for it.
Did she kill him? Well, never mind about that now. Just saw a rider coming down the trail, and it could be Vint Bonner.
Jeb, what do we do with him?
Take him with us.
I'd been hoping that McGivern's girl would have a horse of her own. Since there wasn't one in the corral, looked like Scar would have to put up with us riding double.
Jeb, you said you wanted to wait.
Why? The minute he gets in there, she's gonna tell him about us.
How can she do that?
Look, you don't have to be afraid of me. You can put the jar down. Your father sent me to you. Do you recognize this? Your father gave this to me to give to you. You understand? Well, there's no need to be afraid. How in the world? I must have been here already. Thing to do now is find out why they left without you. Look, I'm not going to leave you. When I go, I'll take you with me. Is that your mother? Your father sent me. Your father. He wants me to bring you to him. When I leave, I'll take you with me. Understand? I'm just going outside to take a look around. Near as I could figure, at least 2 of them had been here. And they hadn't been gone more than half an hour.
Way too dark now.
I was lucky. It was barely a scratch. But it meant we'd have to pull out as soon as it was dark. car wouldn't be able to carry us too far, not after what I'd put him through the day before. And I knew they'd be following us. If they got too close, I'd have to make a stand.
Come on.
We've lost him. Might just well get out of here.
No.
Bonner! Give us the girl! We don't want no trouble with you, but we gotta have that girl!
You go ahead. Circle around. I'll protect your flank.
Jeb, you're making me a target. Listen, we'll both be targets if he gets that girl into town. Now go on.
Hold right there, mister. I'd arranged for Peggy McGibbon to stay with Parson Morgan and his wife, while their pa spent a couple of years in the territorial prison. She's saying she'll miss you. The parson's wife taught her. She'll know a lot more in 2 years.
Well, it's almost worth it. Golly, it is worth it.
I really wasn't looking for trouble that day I rode into New Canaan. But as usual, trouble was looking for me.
Told you I won't have no fighting in my place, and I mean it. Now get going and don't come back till you sober up. What's the matter with you?
Well, somebody just hit me in the stomach with a man, and I think it was you.
Well, I sure didn't aim to. Come on inside and I'll buy you a beer.
Tastes good on a hot day.
You bet. This is nice and cold, too. There you are. My name's Bonsell, Jeff Bonsell. I'm the proprietor.
My name's Vint Bonner. I'm just passing through. You haven't got many customers.
They all ran out the back door when the ruckus started. But they'll be back after they get through blabbing the newest piece of gossip about Jenny May all over this town.
Jenny May?
I finished the inventory on the whiskey, Mr. Bonsell.
All right, Jenny May. See you tomorrow.
Are you sure you want to see me tomorrow?
Of course I do. 'Twasn't your fault. Now run along. Think no more about it.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's Jenny May. Jenny May McElroy, the Jezebel of New Canaan.
That lady doesn't look like any Jezebel to me.
And that ain't what I think about her either, mister. It's what the good people of New Canaan think about her. Want a job? Could use a man like you. $5 a day and found.
Come again?
You heard me, a job. Working for me.
Job? Doing what?
God, help me keep the peace in this here establishment.
I'm a cowboy, not a bouncer.
You're a bouncer, all right. Fill it up for you. I want a cowhand to ride herd on cowhands. The situation around here is getting out of my control.
What situation?
The situation about Jenny May, like I've been trying to tell you.
Look, maybe I ought to go out and come back in again. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you caught on quick enough that she's a lady, a real lady. And through no fault of hers, she's become what you might call a bone of contention around here. Most of the nice people are against her. That is, except Miss Purcell, the new schoolmarm.
What's the contention about?
I eat my meals over at her house mostly. Why don't you come along later tonight for supper? That's the best way to get a real good notion of what's going on around here.
Well, I'm hungry and I could use a meal, but... All right, I'll go with you. But that doesn't mean I'm taking the job.
Something's just got to be done about her.
Look at her walking along carefree. And her husband dead in a gunfight only 2 years.
It's bad enough working in a saloon and her the mother of young children. But she's nothing but trouble where the young men of this town are concerned.
She's not fit to be a mother.
Good afternoon, ladies. I couldn't help but overhear your remarks about Mrs. McElroy. And since her children are my concern, too, and are clean, well-kept, and among the politest children I have in my classes, obviously she is a very good mother.
And do you also teach lessons in eavesdropping at your school, Miss Purcell?
Well, I don't really know how this thing got started, Mr. Bonner. Since you're a friend of Jeff's, I'll be frank with you. After Jim was killed, I didn't really know what to do. There were a lot of men in town that seemed to want to help me. But none of them wanted to give me a job. Except Jeff.
Blue-nosed hypocrites, all of them.
Well, Jeff gave me a job keeping books and looking after things. And that way I was able to care for and feed my children.
From what I've heard, you've done a darn good job of it, too.
And I just darn well couldn't get along without her.
Oh, I would have taken a respectable job, Mr. Bonner. If there'd been one. It's no offense to you, but I can't live and raise my children on the basis of what other people think I should do and the way they want me to act. Besides, I didn't really have much choice in the matter.
Good evening, Mr. Bonsell. May we come in, Mama?
Of course, dear. Mr. Bonner, this is Bruce and Gordon and Betty Sue.
Hi, Mr. Bonner. Hi, Mr. Bonner. Hello, Mr. Bonner.
Hello there.
Dorothy noticed that on your face.
I told you she'd notice. It's soap and rice powder to cover up his black eye.
Oh, no, not fighting again.
I had to. Jamie Goodhue said a bad thing. I heard him. He said we were unfortunate children and more to be pitied than scorned. That's when Gordon hit him. Right on the nose. And Jamie Goodhue's 10 years old. Why are we more to be pitied than scorned, Mama?
You're not. But you still mustn't go around fighting all the time.
Jamie said 2 men were fighting about you in Mr. Bonsell's saloon. Today.
Well, that isn't so. There was a fight, all right, but your mama had nothing to do with it.
Now listen, you remember what I've told you. Don't listen to gossip.
We can't go around all the time with our fingers in our ears.
Well, I know that, but you don't have to believe it, do you?
I don't. That's why I hit him.
Well, look, you children run on, get all washed up for dinner and everything. Now, go on.
Is Mr. Bonner staying for supper?
I certainly am, young lady.
You run along now. Go on.
I can rightly say I never figured on taking a job as a bouncer. But it's 10 days till I report to Trails End for roundup, so I'll take the job. As a matter of fact, the idea kind of intrigues me.
Good. Miss Purcell. You don't have to look so scared, ma'am. This here saloon can't bite you.
I'd like to speak to you, Mr. Bonsell.
Oh, that's all right. This is my friend, Vent Bonner. Why don't you come over here and sit down? Tell us about it.
Something's happened, Mr. Bonsell, and, well, I don't know to whom to turn except you. Amy Goodhue has gotten the members of the school board to sign a complaint against Mrs. McElroy. She will introduce that complaint at the Guildhall meeting.
What kind of a complaint?
They will claim that she is an unfit mother and will try to make her children wards of the community.
Well, won't the sheriff have something to say about that?
There ain't no sheriff. He quit 2 months ago. The city council ain't appointed a new one yet.
Well, what's she got against Jenny May? Just because Gordon got in a fight with her kid?
Oh, it probably didn't help none that he knocked 2 of the little polecat's teeth out, but that ain't it. Them 2 old hens have been sharpening their claws for a long time.
I'm afraid so. They also plan to give me notice that my services are no longer required.
They can't do that.
Oh, yes, they can. But I mind it a whole lot more that they're trying to take that nice young woman's children away from her.
Well, that's all my fault.
How?
Well, you see, I got a stake in this town. I once got to be president of the school board. That's when I sent for Miss Purcell here to be our new school teacher. Of course, that let out Amy Goodhue's sister, Minnie. She was the old school marm.
Oh, I see.
Oh, no, you don't. Minnie ain't no teacher. She's a fat old parrot. She had them kids all in one room learning everything by heart. No matter how young or how old or how smart or how ignorant, they all had to recite the same things. Now, I ain't got much education, but I ain't stupid. And I can tell you that ain't teaching anything.
Miss Purcell, if you have to leave, how much notice do they have to give you?
Well, it was agreed that I was to have 2 weeks' notice when I took the position.
Suppose you let Jeff and I just chew this over for a while, hmm?
Well, thank you. I certainly hope something can be done, regardless of me. It would be a terrible miscarriage of justice if Mrs. McElroy's children were deprived of their mother.
And the other way around, too.
Bartender! Bartender! Bartender!
Get back to my classes.
Whiskey!
Those drunks are at it again!
Whiskey! Bartender!
Look, you sit down. Let me start earning my keep.
It's all alike. Whiskey! Bartender! Bartender!
Hello, boys. You gotta stop drinking like this. You'll both be out by noon.
You have the same uncouth manner of my erstwhile enemy, Clayton, here.
You will kindly serve us some whiskey, so I may continue my argument with this here Yankee, and endeavor to prove to him that there never was a northerner who was fit to lick the mud off of General Lee's boots.
That's enough. That's enough. Come here. Now, look, boys. I was hired to keep the peace in the saloon, and I intend to do so. Besides, the war is over.
Were you in it, sir?
I was.
Which side?
It doesn't make any difference which side. Besides, we're all on the same side now.
Not me. I think you'd best stand aside, sir. This here's a private discussion.
Now, we gotta think of something.
Miss Jenny May? For you.
I can't accept those, Mr. Clayton.
Merely a token of my admiration for you, Miss Jenny May. Surely you must know how I feel about you.
I don't know any such thing, Mr. Clayton.
I thought I'd like the pleasure of your company at dinner, ma'am.
I'm having dinner with my children.
Oh, can't they have dinner without you? This
One time?
Get out of here, Mr. Clayton.
And don't ever come back, you drunken secessionist.
I warned you to stay away from me.
And I warned you to stay away from her.
Jeff, I've got to talk to you.
All right, over this way, Jenny.
Ben,
What's the trouble?
Gray and Clayton. They had a gunfight on my front porch. They're both hurt.
Did anybody see him?
Oh, I don't know. I hope not.
Well, the first thing we better do is get him off your front porch. But I can't hardly leave here right now.
I'll go.
Maybe you better stay here for the time being.
Well, the children are in the house. I have to go back.
Let's go.
Uh-oh. Looks like we're too late.
Yes.
You better go around back. Come in the rear.
All right.
We'll get him to a doctor, Mayor. One is hurt pretty bad. Take him away, boys.
Well, at least we can get that woman out here and find out what happened.
Seems to me pretty plain what's happened.
Who's that?
My name's Vint Bonner.
What do you know about this?
Nothing. Except those two been drinking and quarreling ever since I got to town.
What are you doing here?
I heard there'd been some trouble. I'm a friend of Mrs. McElroy's.
Appears to me she makes friends mighty easy for a respectable barmaid.
Appears to me you better watch your tongue or you'll lose some teeth.
Now, just a minute, Bonner. I know about you. We don't want any trouble from you. Understand?
Then don't give me any.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Mr. Maybank.
Well, young woman, can you tell us what happened?
Well, I don't really know what happened.
They come a-calling on you, didn't they? Brought flowers, didn't they?
She doesn't have to answer any questions from you or anybody else.
Oh, no? Well, there's a law in this land, mister. She'll find out whether or not she has to answer questions. And as for you, Mr. Vint Bonner, you can get out of town and stay out.
I'll get out of town when I'm good and ready.
Come on, Maybank.
Don't you fellers ever go to bed?
How'd it go?
Worse than I thought. The town council's indicting her.
That's ridiculous. Indicting her for what?
They say she ain't fit to be a mother.
She's taking care of her children.
Good care. I'll get the best lawyer in the whole country, by gunnies.
When's the trial set?
This afternoon.
What are you talking about? You can't get a lawyer by this afternoon. Where is the nearest one?
Abilene, over 100 miles. The only lawyer in this town's Mayor Pritchard, and he's doing the prosecuting.
There's only one thing to do. That's ask for a postponement.
How do you do that?
Well, you step up to the judge and you say, Your Honor, the defendant would like to request a postponement so she can have time to get herself a lawyer. That's her constitutional right.
Well, you talk as good as any lawyer I ever heard. Why don't you be her lawyer?
'Cause I'm not a lawyer, that's why.
Well, how come you know so much about law if you ain't a lawyer?
I worked for the U.S. Marshal a couple of times, and I've been in court a couple of times, but it doesn't make me a lawyer or anything near one.
Okay, don't get mad. But you'll have to be the one that asked the judge for that, whatever you call it. I'd never remember to say Your Honor and all that. I'd probably get mad and bust him in the nose.
You can't bust the judge in the nose.
Who can't?
Look, when he's up on that bench, he's got the whole United States government backing him up.
Seems a little one-sided to me.
Well, it can be sometimes, but that's the way it is.
This court is now in session. Jenny Mae McElroy, will you stand before the court? You are charged with failing to provide a proper home for your 3 children. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Are you represented by an attorney?
I am not.
May it please the court.
Yes, who are you?
My name's Vint Bonner, sir. The defendant would like to get a postponement so that she can have time to get a lawyer.
I object, Your Honor.
On what grounds?
On the grounds that the evidence against this woman is complete and incontrovertible.
You're out of order at this time. Your grounds are inadequate, Mr. Pritchard. How much time does the defendant require?
Well, I guess 2 weeks, sir.
I think that's reasonable.
Your Honor, If she does not wish a postponement, I will speak in her defense. She has done nothing wrong. She has nothing to fear.
But Miss Purcell, she's got to have a lawyer.
Who are you?
You know who I am, Judge. You've been in my place.
What is your interest in this case?
Well, I gave the lady a job in my saloon after her husband got killed.
And your interest, ma'am?
I wish to defend this young woman if she will permit it.
You have a license to practice in this state?
No, Your Honor. I took my master's degree in law in Connecticut.
Are you sure you know what you're doing, Miss Purcell?
This is serious, you know that.
She is entitled to have someone speak for her now. And if she will let me, I am going to do it. Your Honor, even though I am not licensed in this state, perhaps I can act as amicus curiae.
As friend of the court. I think that's possible. Mrs. McElroy, will you allow Miss Purcell to act in your behalf?
You know you can't afford to make a mistake, or else you'll lose those 3 kids.
Let her alone. I think she can do it.
Mrs. McElroy, please let me try. I know your children, and I know you, and I honestly feel I can defend you as well as anyone.
You go ahead, Miss Purcell. I believe you.
The defendant will permit me to act in her behalf as friend of the court.
Is this your wish, Mrs. McElroy?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Pritchard. What evidence do you have in substantiation of the charges against the defendant?
Plenty, Your Honor. Plenty. We shall prove conclusively that this woman is unfit to live in a law-abiding, God-fearing community, and that she is unfit as a mother to care properly for her children. And we petition this court to place those 3 fatherless children in an institution where they can properly...
I object.
On what grounds?
I object to counsel stating that Mrs. McElroy is unfit this and unfit that, to generalization without proof.
I'm in the process of proving my contention, if it please the court.
Sit down, Miss Purcell.
I call Mrs. Amy Goodhue to the stand.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the true self you got.
I do. And not only does she work in a saloon, but the saloon keeper eats his meals at her house, including breakfasts.
Well, she's a better cook than you are, you old dried-up bed slat.
It was about 8:30 last night. I went over to her house with Mayor Pritchard and Joe Sawyer and Sam Watkins.
And what did you find on the front porch of Mrs. McElroy's house, Councilman Maybank?
Adam Gray and Randy Clayton, both wounded from gunfire. One seriously.
Did you ask Mrs. McElroy to explain their presence there?
Yes, sir, I did. She claimed she didn't know anything about it. Said she had nothing to do with it. But one of them must have come a-courting. Or something.
I object, Your Honor. How does he know what they were there for?
Sustained.
That's all, Your Honor.
You may step down.
If a couple of stray coyotes got into a fight in your front yard and killed themselves, that wouldn't prove that you raised coyotes.
Look, I don't know anything about the study of law, but I know there's not a grain of truth in anything these people claim.
Will you kindly let the defendant's counsel defend her?
From where I sit, Mrs. McElroy is a fine young woman, and she has 3 fine young children. Calling her guilty is the same as calling me a liar.
Are you threatening the jury, Mr. Bonner?
No, sir, but I certainly wouldn't like being called a liar.
Your Honor, I would like to proceed now with my defense.
If I hear one more peep out of either one of you, I'll hold you in contempt.
As Mr. Bonner said, none of the slander against Mrs. McElroy has been proved. Oh, but something else has. The institution of motherhood has been held up to contumely and scorn. The claim has been made that Mrs. McElroy is not a proper person or a proper mother. She is a widow. There are many such. Is this a crime that places a woman beyond the pale of Christian charity? What is she guilty of? Bringing 3 fine children into the world, maintaining them by her own industry, with no expense to the community, although it was necessary that she work in your local saloon to do so, not being able to find other employment. How could it be believed that heaven would be angry at her for having children, when to the little done by her toward it, God has been pleased to add his divine skill and admirable workmanship in the intricate formation of their bodies? And crowned it all by furnishing them with rational minds and immortal souls. Such laws as you invoke against her are cruel laws. They're unjust and unfair to nature and to every woman everywhere. Marriage laws were made for the protection of women and children. Does this protection cease when a wife becomes a widow? Women bring life into the world. That is our destiny, the creation of life. And I pray heaven that someday women will have a voice in the conduct of the state as well as in the home.
I think you will make an excellent teacher, Miss Purcell. We need your kind of spirit. And the children you teach will be fortunate to have known you. Inasmuch as the prosecution failed to present any proof of any of the allegations, I instruct you to bring in a verdict of not guilty.
Knowing right from wrong, that's not too difficult. But taking a stand for the right, well, sometimes that takes some doing.